Hello friends and enemies, welcome to or back to Happy for Now. It's me Isabel here with your May Romancelandia. Yes, it is June. You're getting May's Romancelandia now. I had some life stuff happening. I could not get Romancelandia filmed enough for my members like I usually do, so we pushed it back. And you know what? I'm so glad I did. Because the things that happened in the last 48 hours would have warranted at least an update video of me in pajamas probably, honestly, to tell you what happened, because it was enough that I felt like I would have had to have covered it much sooner than later. So it was kind of a good thing. It was like kind of meant to be that I'd pushed Romancelandia back a couple days, because my goodness, I opened Threads and it was just so many things flying into my face. So let's talk about all the things that happened in the Romancelandia space that I saw this month. I'll give you recaps of some things that happened and all that good stuff. Some good news, bad news, all the things. As always, I'll have timestamps down there for you. And let's get this rolling. Our first thing of the month is Myra Bloom faking fatphobic messages to her about her books having fat characters. So she posted one more message and I'll lose it in a thread. So like the first thread was something. Oh, she posted, please stop it, please stop it. And then one more message and I'll lose it. And then attached an image, which shows someone DMing her supposedly. Hi, so I just stopped reading crossover because I couldn't stand it anymore. You didn't have to unnecessarily put a plus size FMC in the book. It doesn't add much and only spoils the fun of the book. Anyways, I'm not going to finish it because I can't read a plus size heroine. And I'm just here to advise you to not use a fat woman in your next book. More people might read it that way. So she posts this and people realize that the account that sent the message is an account that follows her, that constantly reposts her stuff, and left a 5-star review for this book crossover and tagged the author in a review, which was kind of a giveaway that perhaps this person is not actually bullying her. This person is potentially the author bullying themselves in their DMs, which is kind of what was figured out from this. But basically, like, almost the entirety of this account's reposts on Threads are her reposting from her author page, which that's a lot of effort to DM someone that you've rated a 5-star and all that stuff. So basically we realized this and the profile pictures line up is the absolute best part of all this. And I would have never guessed that a marketing technique would be that this would be our choice of marketing technique, that we thought we could get more people to read our book by being mad that people were messaging us fatphobic comments about our plus size main character. Wild. The other thing that came out with this is that the author also does art, is a designer, and was promising a lot of things around what their art looked like, including this being a sample image of what would be delivered, and the thing delivered was not that, it was this, which we all start somewhere, is what I will say about that. We all start somewhere, but this feels like you are marketing yourself incorrectly all around. So yeah, this was entertaining to say the least, but basically the author has kind of vanished, so to speak, because they got caught being a scammer, it seems. So keep that in mind when it comes to Myra Bloom. And I always recommend we keep our eyes peeled when things are said, because sometimes they're not what they seem. And this is definitely one of those cases. Sometimes they are what they seem. But this was a fun ride. It didn't last very long. The author kind of like ran away pretty quickly. All right, next we gotta talk about Fae Crate. So there are 2 Fae Crate things this month. And because of that, I'm lumping them together because they're kind of the same but different as far as what the situation is. So before we even start this discussion, there's a couple caveats that are going to happen this month. If you, like me, are of the pale variety, of the I might be a ghost variety, translucent, this is not a situation for us to weigh in on necessarily, so please do not do that in the comments. I'm telling you what happened because it was all over my feed in a way that like I had to piece out what happened, so I'm assuming other people were also trying to figure out what was going on. So I'm going to talk about it, but again, not our issue to weigh in on. We need to sit and listen to people talking about it. And I thought there were some really insightful threads about colorism and all these things. Like I found expanded my knowledge. So Fae Crate got into deep shit twice this month with art in book. First book was BB Reed's Men of the Wild. A lot of people felt the art whitewashed our heroine heavily when she was not as pale as she was drawn. So that was really interesting, I thought, to see, and Fae Crate put out this statement. And then we repeated the situation with a special edition of Daggermouth by H.M. Wolf, where people were upset that the character was whitewashed. And again, I think that's valid. I think it's really frustrating when characters don't look like how they're described in the books, period, end of story, like skin tone, size, all those things, right? So, or when they're vaguely tanned. Anyways, that's a whole other conversation. Again, this is what that conversation was about, though, and it was these art pieces in particular that were being called out. I'm going to put them up here for you so you can see them. But again, keep in mind, if you look like me, not our thing to weigh in on, but that is what was going on and why people were upset with Fae Crate this last month. There was discussion about how and what Fae Crate's approvals are and people questioning some of that, so I don't know the full thing on that. I know that a lot of Black women were very upset at H.M. Wolf and how she reacted to the criticism, so also keep that in mind. Alright, so I try not to do a ton of these, but when certain things happen, I kind of have to talk about creators specifically, right? And I feel okay with this. This is a creator who's much, much larger than my channels are in any capacity, and that is the BookishJono and the Tal Bauer of it all. Because this was absolutely wild to me to witness. I was on the ground floor of this. Like, I saw it happening in real time, and I was like, what is going on? What is going on? So, the BookishJono is a creator on TikTok who has a sizable platform. He is a gay man who writes romances and reads romances and other romance books. So, he was in the comments of a TikTok making some statements that are concerning. In particular, someone was asking about the author Tal Bauer, and the BookishJono was in the comments calling Tal Bauer a she, saying that they are bad for the romance community, they are bad representation, this, that, the other. And when people asked for evidence, the BookishJono said, I can't give you anything, but I have sources. I have sources. And that is always, I need y'all to know, as long as I've been doing Romancelandia, there's one red flag I always have. When you tell me you have sources and you will not say who those sources are, or any detail about those sources, I'm questioning you. The entire comment section to me felt very transvestigation-y, and like we maybe just have some issues because BookishJono also has a pen name, Kyle Elliott, where he writes romances. This led to a lot of discussions on threads around other things this creator has done, participated in, and done with, like, in the with his content. People who've had issues and run-ins, particularly people in more trans identities not having good experiences, and other women too as well. So now we have the apology post, of course. So BookishJono kind of apologized, we'll call it, and this is where the pen name was revealed. Like, they're going to be donating profits to a charity for trans youth of color and stuff, which, like, fine, whatever. But also, like, their other accounts vanished potentially, and then they also were asked in the comments why you felt that, like, what was your thing? And they basically just said they just kind of hypothesized that Tal Bauer's a woman. So you're telling me you're, like, purposely misgendering someone whose pronouns are on their thing, don't walk it back, typoed it, whatever, right? It happens. And not everything's ill intention. But you're telling me you, like, the entirety of all of this was that you just kind of had a hypothesis that you could not prove one way or the other because Tal Bauer is very private. Now, we say that, and then there was also a podcast from, like, 2019-ish, I think, where Tal is interviewed talking about their romantic suspense titles. I don't know. You could listen to that and try and figure it out. Now, I know somebody will have some wild thing that, like, oh, well, they could have hired. I don't know that you could really hire somebody to beat you on an interview and nail it. Has it happened? Yes. It has happened. I am well aware of the Santino hassle of it all, okay? If you've been here a long time, if you've been in the romance space a long time, you're aware of some of these things. But I personally don't believe we can or should live our lives demanding things of people. Instead, when things come out, we have to take that and make our own choices. We should not just be blanket throwing out a lot of accusations, especially in today's climate of the world. And when you're the only one standing there saying a thing like this, and you have a history of some bad behavior, I'm going to question it. I'm going to question it. I do think all of this is a great reminder as we roll into Pride Month. Do not demand people tell you their identities. Please and thank you. It is a thing that happens every so often, I feel like, and I just think we have to remember that it's not always safe for people at home where they live, all these things to be outed publicly. So, yeah. I just found this really, really wild to witness. But people were not happy, and basically the BookishJono was losing followers over this situation, so there's that. I also think this is a great example. I saw someone else talking about this, that like as a creator, you have a level of care you have to put into what you say and what you do. And this just to me showed a huge lack of care. A lack of understanding that like you shouldn't just say things that you've decided are true that you do not have confirmation for always. Now we need to talk about the thing that blew up in the last 48 hours. I've never been happier. And I've never felt more like the GIF from Community in which Troy walks in holding the pizzas and the room is on fire. Because that is how this all feels, okay? So first things first, we're going to set some ground rules for this discussion about audiobook narrators and what was happening on Threads and what has been outed and all these things. If you are going to comment anything the equivalent of, well, what was she wearing when she was assaulted, when she was harassed? What was she wearing? What, this, that, the other? That is victim blaming. If you want to stay here, don't post it. If you do post it, you're out. I'm blocking you. I don't care. I'm telling you this right now. Full stop. If you are shitty in the comments over any of this, if you are victim blaming, if you are defending a certain author, if you are upset that someone was bothered by it and you don't think it's a problem, goodbye. I'm not playing about this in my comments. I refuse. I refuse to engage. And this is the level of care I'm giving you as a creator. I will not allow that to be in my comments, and I will not allow you to engage in my comments around this item. So we're not going to perpetuate rape culture here. So there are like piles of audiobook narrators that just have, well, one's a reoccurring problem and others are new to the game, we'll say. So first things first, we have to talk about Tor Tom, the narrator for Heated Rivalry. I actually was literally, as this all came out, listening to a book that he narrated that was not Heated Rivalry. And I was like, wow, you sound okay here, but you sound like shit in Heated Rivalry. What happened? Anyways, Tor Tom at book events is handing out lip balm, or has lip balm on his table. And he will hand it to readers and make comments about things like, it'll keep your lips wet like his balls. Well, and that is weird. I know we read romance. I know that people think that romance space is inherently a space where you can be sexual sometimes, and that's not the case. That is sexual harassment. Like, that is inappropriate. That is weird. That is uncomfortable. I would be very uncomfortable after that situation. These are lip balms where it says Tor Tom, keep your lips moist. And that's like whatever. Like, if that was just on his table and you got it, like, that would be fine to me. But when you are handing it over to someone with a comment, that's when we're entering into harassment. That's when we're entering into inappropriate behavior. Also, he was apparently inviting people to touch sex toys at his table, which is weird too. I was just deeply uncomfortable. I was like, this is strange and I don't like it. It's all very weird. But yeah, a lot of people reiterated a very uncomfortable interactions with him at a book event recently around these lip balms and statements made when giving them to people. So there's that. Then Nowhere Eternity voice actor, this account, I think I got his name right. I might have his name wrong. And if I do, oh well. Apparently he likes to tell authors what he does to himself after he reads their books, after he narrates them. And that, y'all, please, I need this to stop. I read that and I was just like, what? He does what? Oh, that's like DMing an author and saying you got off to their book. Like, that's weird. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's weird. This is gross. Anyways, we got two more. Unfortunately, when I told you there was like an audiobook drama galore, I wasn't joking. Joe Arden was at a book event this weekend in Nashville, apparently. Glad I didn't know. I might have went and, well, I won't say what I would have done, but I probably would have got kicked out. We'll just say that. I might have held a sign up. So this is your reminder that Joe Arden was accused of sexually harassing multiple women in the romance industry and in the space, authors, narrators, all these people. And he was cleared of these crimes by the business he owns with his wife, Blue Nose Audio Productions. Cleared of these crimes by an investigation done by the business he owns with his wife. And I need y'all to think about that for 2 seconds. This business that makes him a lot of money cleared him of his crimes. Just like a little distrust. I need y'all to distrust people a little more sometimes. But yeah, he literally is at an event with a lines, huge line. And people in the comments are like, he didn't do anything wrong, they cleared him. And other people are like, didn't know what happened. So if you're new here, there is a Romancelandia, I'll link it down below for you, where I talk about what happened with Joe Arden and the Blue Nose Productions. And I'm going to advise you against supporting this man wherever you can. If an audiobook's older that he narrated, obviously that money's been made, paid and all that stuff. But, you know, I for sure proceed with caution if any author I continue to see working with him. They definitely end up on my do not read list. So, on that note, I'm real disappointed on this flyer that came out because the Ripped Bodice is hosting an event for Steph Macca with Joe Arden and Corvin King, which we'll talk about in a minute, and it's sold out in October, this event. And people are commenting on the Ripped Bodice's social pages and they are deleting them. And I think it's really, 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 really disappointing to see the first romance bookstore in America, 1, just allow a predator into their space, but 2, delete comments about it and not want to engage. And I'm sure it's because it's sold out, but I will tell you that I continue to be thrilled every time I find an indie romance bookstore that doesn't want to stock an author because they're shitty, or chooses to not sell certain books because they're shitty. Because I do think you can stay in business and do that. I do think you can hold your ground and stay in business, but I know this is going to have a lot of people turned off from the Ripped Bodice, and I think that's what it is, unfortunately, and I hate to see it. This is, you know, it's a fun bookstore. I've been to both locations, but I sure as shit am less than thrilled right now, so depending on what they say will probably depend on some of my reaction to what I will do. Anyways, last but not least, let's talk about Corvin King. This is a very alleged conversation. All of these are very alleged items, obviously. He made a comment about human flesh tasting like Carolina barbecue, which is weird. And then I learned cannibalism is only illegal in like 49 states. It's only legal in 1 state. I'm sorry. So, if you live in Idaho, cannibalism is not illegal. Everything to get to the cannibalism is illegal, but the actual cannibalism is not. So that's weird. I'm not verifying if that fact is true, but I was like, okay. But he also was bragging about his dick size to people, and I was just like, this is weird. This is weird. Anyways, he's also made some other weird statements that I'm not going to repeat here because I thought they were really gruesome personally, and also disparaging to like people who really did a lot or had to do certain things on deployments. So I will not be repeating them here, but yeah, there's that. What a weird situation that was. All right, let's talk about something fun, I guess. I don't know. This is the thing. So I'm in the camp that this is actually never going to happen. And the article I think was called like Schrodinger's Adaption. So that's how I feel. But Fourth Wing's Adaption had some like news come out, including that Michael B. Jordan is executive producing. There's no timeline for casting or anything. And then like they listed some of the people who are going to be helping with things. I was just surprised to see news. I felt like after ACOTAR's being reshopped, to my understanding, and not picked up by anyone because they declared Sarah J. Maas too hard to work with, that like Fourth Wing was just like going to be in the wind. But yeah, I guess we are actually getting this. I'm really curious to see how this turns out and how mad people are at it because it's not what they wanted. That's my hot take. And then we have some sad news for you, unfortunately. I hate this. This is like, as always, the worst thing I have to share every time, and I hate it, but just a quick note for cancer. We lost Piper J. Drake this month to cancer. I believe cervical cancer, if I recall correctly, so be sure y'all are getting tested, those of us with cervixes. And yeah, it just kind of was heartbreaking. That is an author I have seen I think I've read from her, but she's someone I've seen in the space for a very long time and seen interacting and friends with a lot of mutual authors I like and follow, and it just was kind of sad to see someone so well loved and so young taken by this. So there's that. Now for the fun stuff. Not all of this is fun, but I don't know what else to categorize it as. So most of it is Hold Me Like a Grudge by Celine Ong. So the book Hold Me Like a Grudge has a release date now. It was originally being published with Berkley. We don't know what happened. The deal was like canceled, called off, and is now being self-published June 30th. So if you want to read a gay wrestling romance, it is coming your way very soon. We also saw a 2-book deal for Shayna Douglas with a sapphic hockey rom-com. Here is the tropes for it, and I'm very, very excited. I think this sounds really fun. It'll be out in March 2027. We also got news Kobo is partnering with Storygraph for the in-app and on-device book tracking. So like your Kindle has Goodreads, Kobo will have Storygraph. Very excited to see how this works out. Excited to try it. We'll see what we think. But I just thought that was a really nice surprise. And the other interesting fun thing, it is Audible, so I hate that, but I also am happy to see more of this. So Audible and Audio and Color, which focuses on helping authors of color get audiobooks made, are partnering for some grants and money to help with production. So I think that's really, if you're an author watching this and you're curious for more info, I'll have links down there for you. Are y'all ready for some bingo? I hope you're ready for some bingo. So first things first, obviously, audiobook related drama, done. That box is done. Isn't reading. I'm checking another box here because I felt like constantly this month I kept seeing things and people mad at people for how they read or what they read, or you can't read the 30 book, you can't count a DNF as this, you can't that, and I just was like, oh, we're back here. So isn't reading is a checkbox. Again, you know, you're not sitting with a book, you're not this, you're not out. Just, it was everywhere this month, which is wild. It's a little early for that discourse. Usually that rolls up again late June, early July, because people are doing mid-year check-ins. We also got a pity marketing because of the fatphobic email situation. That was an attempt at pity marketing. It didn't work well, but it was there. Another checkbox for AI, because the Barnes & Noble CEO did say in an interview that he's open to stocking AI books, which is gross. I have a lot of feelings about that. I don't have a lot of other options on where to buy my manga and certain things, but gross. And then last but not least, arguing about tagging happened this month. And basically on Threads, this person with, I don't know, they talk about books. They were like, I read all the books y'all told me to read. And they were all authors of color. Every single one. And they reviewed every single one negatively. And then proceeded to tag all of the authors. And people were fussing at them for this. And they were just like, I don't care. I don't care. These books sucked. And I was just like, the racism always pops out, you know? Like, it always shows up when people try to hide it. So there's that. So yeah, that gave us all those spots. And this is what our bingo board looks like now in the end of May. What do you think is going to get checked off next? That's my question. As always, let me know if you think I missed anything or if there was a particular story that stood out to you. If you don't do any of that, you can leave me a movie emoji, like a film camera, something related to movies or film, I guess, down below. And as always, if you want early access to things like Romancelandia, there is a link down below. You can join my YouTube or my Patreon, and you get early access to Romancelandia every month, and then there's other perks for other levels, but if you're interested, that's down there. And as always, I'll have links to everything I can link to down there for you, links to my friend anywhere on the internet that I am, and I will talk to y'all in just a few days in my next video. Bye!
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be. Life with no distractions. We'll get away. This is what we waited for.